This is the G Podcast with your host, Tommy B.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to episode 254. This is the G Podcast, and I'm Tommy B. And, we start the podcast for those who are viewing, acknowledging last week's or within the week, the Potomac tragedy. And it's interesting that as we tape on Saturday morning, and there's already been another air tragedy in Philadelphia. We're talking, 6 people, including a girl, her mother, killed in a medical plane crash, and there was a person on the ground also killed and 19 injured. So within this week, we've had 2 major plane crashes, and we'll find out. I'm not going to go on and speculate until we get answers back, but just wanted to let you know, and in the process of all this, what we saw a few days ago, there's another one in Philly. And Tanya B, you saw, I don't know, did you see the video? Are you familiar with the area?
Absolutely, yeah. Roosevelt Mall up in Northeast Philly. It's going up 95, yeah.
Yeah, and they said it was a very busy area, probably one of the busiest.
I would say this, it's Roosevelt Boulevard. It's a 2-lane street with an island in the middle, and it kind of would remind you if you took, parts of I-20, and where you have that cement barrier, you have that island in the middle. It's a very busy street, a lot of speeding going on up there. But the thing that got me was that they were saying that this plane had just taken off. It had been up less than a minute from the Northeast Philadelphia airport, which is a smaller airport, than Philly and even Wings Airfield in Bluebell. And, I say, shout out to the governor and to Mayor Sherelle Parker and all those first responders who were on the ground within minutes, even coming from New Jersey. Mm-hmm. The thing that we also have to look at is the people whose homes were, some lost their homes completely. One woman said the entire front facade of her house was blown out. So, not to diminish anything, but, there's, and this is, again, another traumatic situation where people are going to have a lot of mental health challenges and trauma.
Yeah, so true. I mean, it was, I watched some video on YouTube and on TikTok, and it really looked like an attack was going on. I mean, if you didn't know what was going on, it looked like, you see the explosion.
Yeah.
I don't know if you sent me or somebody sent me the Ring video where it was almost like a fireball.
Yeah, it almost looked like DC. Yeah, the people they were going out of their door, and then they promptly closed the door. And then something like that, even like in DC, I was talking, to my sisters who live there in that area, and the debris is not just contained to that area. Debris is, so you're imagine sitting in your home, and all of a sudden, a piece of, the wing or a piece of, the nose, whatever it was, just the debris that's flying. And also because of the fire, you also have to take into account the air quality there.
Yeah, so true. All right, y'all, our prayers go out and condolences to the families, to the victims in both these tragedies, and hopefully we'll get some news soon, okay? On a brighter note, it is Black History Month 2025. Hold on to it while you got it. That's all I'm going to say. Hey, I don't care what anybody says. My Black History Month it's 365, 24/7 for me. So I, don't care what anybody says, don't worry. And it's interesting, Vi, because it's happening with the Defense Department.
Oh, yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I don't understand. I'm going
because you were military over 20 years.
I just don't understand it. What is the problem in learning about Black history? I mean, that's a problem with that.
And the interesting thing is not only Black history, women's history, anything that focuses on an individual group that was celebrated will, I guess, no longer be celebrated.
when we
singled out.
When we single
I
out,
have an example for
so
you.
when we single out the Caucasians, that's American history.
Well, if you say women's history, and you're not going to do Women's History Month, there are white women who fall under that.
People need to realize every problem the United States ever had was caused by a white man.
Okay.
Every major problem. I mean, look at the history.
If you look at the wide scale,
every problem the United States has ever had that's major, look who was in charge. I guarantee you, 99.1%, it was not a black man and it was not a woman. It was a white man.
Well, you're gonna say the majority, okay? I would probably say that the majority, because you throw in a big blanket.
I mean, it is a big blanket. How many black presidents we got?
We had one.
One
that we know of.
Bill Clinton.
One. I mean, how many black governors of Georgia we ever had?
But Abraham Lincoln, that hair under that hat. I got a question.
They claim him. They claim him to be white, so he's white, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm saying, every major problem that we ever had.
Let's go to Tanya B real quick and pull that vibe blanket back.
You said I was saying, and it's like our accomplishments are diminished because we were the innovators. And I have just to give you one example. Everybody always talks about Amelia Earhart.
Mm-hmm.
The first black person, male or female, to be a licensed pilot and go wherever she went around the world or around the corner, whatever.
Yeah.
The first person to do that was a black woman named Bessie Coleman. But all you hear about is Amelia Earhart, because Bessie Coleman did it before Amelia, but they got to act like Amelia did it because that's what they want, the whitewashing of it and what they want, us to know the people.
Yeah. Same thing with us going to the moon.
Yeah.
Well, it's Black History Month, so if anything, again, for the as a whole, it's why we celebrate the month, to bring out the hidden, to the general public, maybe not to us direct, but to the general public, give them an idea of the accomplishments of Black people, for those who may not have known. So I'm going to leave it at that. It's Black History Month 2025. This is the G Podcast. We're your weekly recap, bringing you news, politics, pop culture, the piping hot tea from the one and only. Y'all give it up for Tanya B in the building. Yes.
Yeah.
And y'all give it up for Vi, the country commentator, throwing that blanket.
I just speak facts, brother, not blanket, just facts.
No, I just say throw that blanket, bro. Throw that blanket. What's your email? What's your social media?
I got enough junk email. I don't need y'all bothering me.
Hey, I got enough of them coming after me, so yeah. Take the load off.
Bring it on. I just ignore it. Bring it on, people. I just ignore it like I ignore everybody else. Don't know.
There you go. Same here. Same here. All right, y'all, let's go ahead. What we'll do, let's do news. We'll come back. Our guest this week, and big thanks for accepting the offer to come on, Lexi Doherty. She won't be on this week. She'll be on next week. So as we tape, we'll have Lexi Doherty from my district, Georgia 10. She'll come on and really and truly, let me explain why I asked her to come on. With everything that's going on, she's run against a faction of what we're seeing in Washington right now in our district. And, just to ask her some questions about what she's witnessing and how, give her opinion on the responses and more, a little bit about her. So it will not just talk about GA10, which is Georgia Congressional District 10, but also talk about in general, the state of what we're seeing, what's going on. Okay. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and do news with Syracuse. Mike, we'll come right back after this. Here we go.
News team, assemble!
It's time for the Week in News with Syracuse Mike.
This is a very responsible measure.
That was the response from White House Press Secretary Caroline Lovett concerning a memo from the Trump administration's budget office pausing federal grants so they can review them and then decide if they fit President Trump's priorities. Minutes after it was supposed to kick in, we learned that a federal judge blocked the funding freeze. The stay is in place until Monday. Now, there have been a lot of questions and a lot of confusion about what programs would be impacted.
This is not a blanket pause on federal assistance and grant programs from the Trump administration. Individual assistance, that includes Social Security benefits, Medicare benefits, food stamps, welfare benefits, assistance that is going directly to individuals will not be impacted by this pause.
Federal student loans and Pell Grants are also not impacted, but Democrats were livid before the judge stepped in.
This illegal move is a massive overreach by the Trump administration. The American people did not vote for this kind of senseless chaos. That's
Senator Patty Murray from Washington State. The federal government issues grants for everything from scientific research to roads to emergency response. The White House has rescinded a memo from Monday that temporarily paused trillions of dollars in government funding for everything from nonprofits to health-related programs. Trump officials blamed the media for all of the confusion, despite the fact that members of Congress and funded agencies flooded the administration with calls. The National Transportation Safety Board, or NTSB, says they will find out what caused the terrible mid-air collision between a passenger plane and an Army helicopter near Reagan National Airport Wednesday night. All 67 people on the aircrafts were killed, including a number of U.S. figure skaters, according to reports. NTSB Chairwoman Jennifer Hominy said her agency will leave no stone unturned in this investigation. The black box from the airplane has been recovered. Transportation officials say it's too early to determine if this was due to human error or something else. At a Thursday morning press conference, President Trump blamed the previous administration and diversity hiring efforts.
The FAA is actively recruiting workers who suffer severe intellectual disabilities, psychiatric problems, and other mental and physical conditions under a diversity and inclusion hiring initiatives.
The president presented no evidence that hiring practices are to blame, and Democrats are pushing back. Here's Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
Listen, it's one thing for internet pundits to spew off conspiracy theories. It's another for the President of the United States to throw out idle speculation as bodies are still being recovered and families still being notified. It just turns your stomach.
According to an early FAA report received by media organizations, staffing levels were not normal for the time of day and volume of traffic before a military helicopter collided with a passenger jet near Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C. The National Transportation Safety Board says they will find out what caused the collision, killing all 67 people on the aircrafts. NTSB Chairwoman Jennifer Hominy said her agency will leave no stone unturned in this investigation.
We look at the human, the machine, and the environment. So we will look at all the humans that were involved in this accident.
The black box from the airplane has been recovered. Transportation officials say it's too early to determine if this was due to human error or something else.
You know, I've got to say this, and before we move on in the conversation, I want to get on a serious note thoughts. I'm on the road Thursday, and of course the air tragedy had happened the night before, so I'm listening to NPR. I'm in the car, and I'm listening to the press conference begin, and it begins basically as most tragedies begin. Now, keep in mind, I'm a brother of a certain age, as all of you are of a certain age. I go back to the disaster, and even going back to the situation, almost, I was how do you call it, like a goober? How do you refer to him, Tanya B?
Yes, a youngin'.
With a youngin', yeah. With Carter, and when the hostage crisis was going on. I've seen tragedy before, and a president. We've seen 9/11. We saw Bush. I have never seen such an insensitive response to tragedy as what I witnessed or listened to Thursday morning. It got so bad that NPR pulled away. Now, that's bad. I called, Millennial Nick, and I said, hey, is it still being covered on television? The TV networks did not pull away. But when NPR stepped in, NPR said, we're not sure what this is and where it's going, but we will report after the fact. They pulled away from an American president after a tragedy. I've never seen that before. But it was just so insensitive considering the families. And I don't say that just as someone with talking points because I'm, a Democrat or it was just bad. It was just listening to blame, and when he started talking about Obama and Biden, and when he started talking about almost like eugenics,
No
people who were
empathy at all. No
less,
empathy at all. No.
Talking about people's features and lack of intellect. And it was just, I had to stop, breathe, and say to myself, sitting in the car listening to the radio, why is he saying this at this time? And I'll go to you, Vi.
He's a wounded dog that hops.
Why do you say that?
Because he wants to make sure that he does not get blamed for this. So he's going to blame somebody else. So nobody's paying attention to what's going on right now. That he asked the people that works in the airfield to quit their job, to look for private jobs. He freed the hiring. So he is not saying he is the problem, but he is a major part of the problem.
Right.
That particular job, you just can't hire anybody off the street. It takes training, years of training to get there. You just can't bring somebody off the street and say, okay, you're air traffic controller. I don't think he realized that. I don't think all stuff he think he's doing, he can fix in a matter of days. It took years to get here. It's going to take years to fix it. You can write all the executive order you want. That ain't going to fix it. It's going to cause confusion. So if I'm an air traffic controller and I quit, there's nobody to replace me. There's not like we got a waiting line for somebody to replace you.
Yeah.
So when you get these folks to quit, you fire, who are you replacing them with? There already was a shortage, from my understanding already. There was a shortage in air traffic controller already. So
we're young. I mean, we were young back, during the Reagan era, when Reagan fired all the striking air traffic controllers, and then there was a tragedy.
Right.
And let me say this. There was no situation where people were just blatantly blaming Reagan because of that. People understood that there was a mourning period. People had to mourn. My question, I'm going to go to you, Tanya B. Did he not, the moment of mourning is in my opinion, it's sacred in any country.
There you go. What I'm saying, I don't even want to talk about this stuff. Look at him. Has the Trump empire or the Trump family ever in the history done anything for public?
But see, let me say this, and I do want to get your thoughts on this, Tanya B. It was not even a moment of where you had to go into defense mode. There was no need for that.
It wasn't.
There was all you had to do is stand up and say, hey, we mourn the families, our condolences. Plus, keep in mind, it takes the NTSB about a minimum of 30 days to go in and do an investigation. And I will tell you, I knew it was about to go bad when he said, they're going to do their investigation. I knew it was going to go bad. It was kind of like sitting at the dinner table during Thanksgiving and your grandpa starts talking and he says, I know y'all not going to like what I'm about to say. And it's about it's about to go south. And I knew it was going there. And I hear you, Vi, but I do. Go ahead, Tanya.
I'm just saying his answer was common sense.
Okay. I'll go to you, Tanya.
I get it. And people keep getting surprised by the things he says and does. Nothing has changed from when he was in office the first time. You know what you're dealing with. And that's part of my decision to stay away to protect my mental health. Now you have someone that has, forget sympathy, he has no empathy for anyone. We are dealing with a narcissist. And at the end of the day, I just had a thought while you were talking, Tommy B. Why do you think Puffy and Trump are such good friends? Because they're so alike. They're both narcissists. And our narcissists will never take accountability for anything that they do.
And you know what? I agree. But let me say, and I don't say this to argue and go back and forth. Let me be very clear. But the point I want to make is this is the presidency. And I get what people are saying. I understand what people are saying about, well, but that's him. But you have to, if you're a citizen of the country, okay, and there's a tragedy, you have to say you're the guy who everybody looks to console as the consoler in chief. Okay. Vi, I hear you. I see you. But my point is that should signal to people, whoever decided to cast that vote, that something, and I already know. Let me tell you. And let me say this. There are very few things that will surprise me. What surprises me more is more people besides the opposition aren't saying or have said or should say to him, look, there was no need for that. There's time. Look, it's coming. You know it's going to come. But I'm talking about the bodies were still being pulled out of the river.
Yeah, Beko, I agree with. I mean,
but see, here's the thing. But let me say this. But let me say this, and I want to move on. When we do this, we normalize it. If you say, well, that's him, that's just the way he is. Look, I would say it, but when we say that, we normalize it. We keep normalizing it. Okay? There are certain things where I knew. Let me tell you, Vi, when I heard about the DEI stuff with the Defense Department, hey, he told you he was going to do it. It was in 2025. When I heard about the raids on with the ICE, with ICE in all these cities,
he told you he was going to do it.
So you're going to do it. But it's different when you're commander in chief, and there's protocol for any commander in chief beyond policy. That's not a policy thing to me.
It's not.
That's a human thing to me.
It's not.
Well, again, he's inhumane. We got to understand. He's inhumane. And
so we normalize it. We normalize
someone who is too dumb to be stupid. Think about that. You can catch it up later. You understand what I'm saying?
And I agree with everything you said.
But I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it to be agreed with. No, let me say that first and foremost, because a lot of people might disagree.
No, I'm just making a statement. I'm saying you're right. Because when I'm in the military, when something like that happens in the military, we don't say anything to anybody until we let the family members know that that person has passed away.
Right.
We're in Iraq. We shut down the internet and took.
Yeah.
That's the first, when we have a major event or some, not even major, anybody that dies while we're over there, internet, telephone, shut down until we let the victim's family know that their people have passed away. Once we do that, then we open up the internet or open up the phone line. Because like you said, it's the victims. It's the people who lost people. We need to take care of them first before we do all this other stuff. So yeah, I agree. That's right.
And Vi, let me tell you, Vi, that's why I said they were still literally pulling bodies out of the Potomac.
Right. Even when that guy said, he said, this is, when he said, because it hurt me when he said, they said, the exact day they have, he said, this is not a rescue mission anymore.
Yeah.
He said, we're getting bodies out. He said, it's not a risk. He said, it's not a rescue mission. When he said that, he said, anybody who's on that helicopter and that plane, all dead.
Yeah. But I just hope, well, you know what? You got to plead for the humanity in any situation, everywhere, in any situation. Even when you have inhuman people running the show, you still have to say, hey, brother, can we just be humane? Can we level it off? Can we turn the temperature down and deal with this first? There's plenty of time for you to come back with your opinion, even in a separate press conference. Because my whole thing was, honestly, if I'm a family member of a victim, I'm sitting there, because the other thing, and I do want to move on, the other thing is the amount of time. I think that's why NPR said, oh no. It went hard. I'm not even talking about like a brief mention. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, go watch it. It went long. and it started going hard in the paint. So I'm gonna leave it at that. All right, you got I'll give you the last word on it, Vi. Go ahead.
On the situation, it was a horrible incident. And like I said, the first thing we should have did was say prayers for the family, say how much horrible incident was. And then the next day or the day after, we can start talking about the investigation.
Right.
That's it.
And you know what? For all of you who want to hit me up and say, yo, you knew who he was. You know, I know that.
But it's the people who voted for Republicans, they need to tell the Republican people, y'all need to stand up to this man and let him know when he's wrong and start going with everything he do.
All right.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying y'all got to start a war with it, but y'all can at least tell us, look, President, you know, come on. Stand up to him and say, no, we're not going to talk about that right now. It's a tragic incident.
See, here's the thing. He does not follow protocol. He never has. And even when there's got to be one person that has the balls to say this is how it's done. And he may say, okay, that's fine. But when that light goes on and that mic is open, he will continue to go off on his own tangent and not, it's just like you get a job and he applied for a job. And just like there are job duties and requirements for that job. And you say, okay, fine. But then you get the job and you don't follow. Just like he threw the COVID book in the trash. Yeah. He thinks he, like I heard Puffy say this morning, I make and follow my own rules. I don't follow anybody else's rule. And I think that's what his mindset is.
But I want to say this just to be clear, okay? Nothing shocks me in terms of policy, in terms of what's being done right now. It really doesn't shock me because this is why we ran out to vote in 2024 in November. We knew this was going to happen. And the other thing is, I do want to. I think Talib's out today, but Talib sent me, or I think he tagged me on Frank Ski's conversation or Frank Ski's post.
I saw that. Yeah.
About people being surprised and being unprepared. That bothers me, the fact that people are surprised and unprepared. And I'll start with you, Tanya B. Do you think, I don't know if you saw Frank Ski, if you saw I saw it.
And he made some very valid points, especially when he got into the part about leadership. And again, we have no, after King, Malcolm, Edgar, and heck, dare I even say RFK Jr., who was much smarter than his brother, the president. Son can't say the same for a son. But, the thing is I said that plan. Okay, Al Sharpton, why did you wait, Mr. I know what's going down? Where is your 90-day plan? I think Al Sharpton had a concept of a plan, heard that before. But, again, it's like that there's been a void, in our culture. I don't know who the greatest Latino leader is. I don't know who the greatest Asian leader is. I don't know who the greatest, Middle Eastern leader is in this country. But, we are almost in a place where we're perishing due to lack of leadership and who will step up. Nobody has stepped up. And I don't think definitely can't depend on Jesse because Jesse's got health issues.
Jesse's out of the mix.
Yeah,
out of the mix.
We can't depend on Sharp, and if there's no check attached, he's not interested. And so, who else is there?
Well, one of the things I think he said was, have action, take action, not just react.
Right.
And in a lot of cases, it's more reactionary. I've heard, because as we tape this weekend, the DNC is voting on a new leader of the DNC.
The party.
Mm-hmm. The party, and they're you're looking at two different types of leaders. One leader believes in, being, support, staying in the background. The other one believes in being in the forefront and really being aggressive and active and going into the states and making sure the states are prepared. I don't think it's time to stay in the background. Just my opinion right now. I think it's a bad time to be a background leader.
Yeah, they need a changing of the guard.
We got enough of that.
Being in the background has gotten the Democrats.
Yeah, because we're more. It's about being. What I'm seeing is more reactionary. People are more reactionary, and honestly, I'll tell you, Tanya B, when you talk about your mental health, that affects people's mental health more than anything. When you're not hearing from the people you trust in times of crisis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, he again.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because there's this article I was reading. He's talking about the young people. We got a crisis of a lot of young people dying. You got more young people dying than elderly right now.
Okay.
And that's amazing to me. And they said more. I got to do with drinking, suicide, mental health. So you got more young people dying than elderly. So what is that saying about the United States?
Yeah, it is not a happy place. But you have to. But I'm going to have somebody in. A good friend of mine who does yoga, has a yoga company, and we're going to talk about just keeping your peace because as you know, Tanya B, we were even saying this before the election. You got to find a place because honestly, I was prepared for anything. I didn't sit back and say, okay, it's going to be a landslide for Kamala. I mean, you always know that there's the possibility, and quite frankly, the closer it got to the election, I saw the clear possibility of what we're dealing with right now. I will say it is a situation where you got to kind of, you have to still stay engaged, but protect your peace. But it's not easy when you don't have, when you look to people or you expect certain things from people you trust and they don't give you that. All right, I'm going to go to you, Tanya B, and then Vi, and then we'll go to break. Go ahead.
My one word, leadership. That's it.
Yeah.
Leadership.
So true. All right, go ahead, Vi.
I think
last
it goes
word.
back to what you said, Bako.
Yeah.
Stop trying to make history and just face facts. The United States is not ready for another black president or woman. That's just it. Mm-hmm. We, majority of the United States, are not ready to accept another black president or woman. Because that's the only way Biden won. If we keep trying to make these statements in history, we're going to continue to lose.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Love your thoughts, y'all. On our, if you're viewing the podcast right now, the QR code's there. Would love you to scan it, give your comments, send us a voicemail. We'll play back the best. Leave us some comments in the chat, whatever. Greatly appreciate your feedback. Let's go ahead. We'll take a break and we'll come back with some tea. How about that, y'all? Take a deep breath.
We'll make you laugh. Okay.
Here we go.
Time, y'all. Sipping the tea with Tanya B.
Let's take that shift, Tanya B. What you got in that cup?
You don't want to know.
Oh, sucky now. What you got, Tanya B? What's going on?
I got to start off. One thing we did condolences. The one thing I want to start off with saying prayers up to Bay Area rap legend Too Short, whose brother was murdered in East Oakland. Now, East Oakland is like the Badlands of Philly. I guess it's like a bank. It's a rough and tumble part of Oakland. But his brother's name is Wayne Shaw, age 61. He owned a weed grow house, which was legal in California. He was inside, and he died when an apparent robbery was about to go down, and they shot and killed him. And we know Blow the Whistle by Too Short is a multicultural classic. It's just not a classic amongst us.
The Ghetto, too. That was my song.
Yeah,
Ghetto.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know, Short has actually taken up residency. He has a home in Atlanta now. So I would say, thoughts and prayers go up to him and his family, and just to think about that. And, his brother Mike, I don't know his past, but, he had a legit business. And some knuckleheads wanted to come in there and rob him, and he, lost his life tragically. So, when you hear about someone who passes away, and even the people that were on either of these planes and these horrific crashes we talked about, some families were killed, like entire families, but then there's other family members that, have to deal with this trauma as well. So if the parents and the children are passed away, then they've got to go find the next of kin, to let them know. And when you talk about the whole insensitivity thing about it. So, yeah. Okay, well, let me say this. I've been watching this, the Fall of Diddy documentary, and, it's been trending for obvious reasons. And I must say, the first few times I tried to watch it, Tommy B, I fell asleep. But, maybe I'm a little jaded as a so-called insider. But, this reminds me a lot of all the people that wanted to start talking when this whole R. Kelly, this is like so many shades of R. Kelly happening here. And, everybody's saying they kept quiet because they were getting a check and they, he bribed them, he controlled them with money and that they were in fear of their lives, but we've seen the receipts of the outburst of Puffy's behavior. And, you would pose a question to me and I want to answer that when we were preparing for this show, but he's been beating women since he was back, in the 80s at Howard. That was one of the first receipts that was exposed. But then all these death threats, he threatened Danielle Smith because she wouldn't show him the cover of Vibe magazine that he was on.
And she had blacked out the incident, which I thought was interesting when she was talking about the fact that they actually took her outside with the cover until he cleared the building.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she said she had no memory.
Yeah, and she's extremely credible. So I believe what Danielle says. And then we talked about the city college thing. You know what? I think they had to bring that out because to me, his ego and his thirst for money and power led to violence and death. It's part of a pattern. You've got him assaulting Misa Hilton and her mother. Yeah. And then you got Kim, you got Cassidy, and then I got to give a big hee-haw to this woman, Dana Tran, because Puffy beat her into a miscarriage and she stayed with him and got pregnant again and had a baby.
Wow. Yeah.
So, and the question remains, does he leave, an imprint on, music and culture and entertainment? Absolutely. Absolutely. He was allegedly showing us Black excellence on the surface. But however, now that the behind the scenes story of this whole thing has come to the forefront, it has a different angle. And I'll also say this, he grew up without a father. They didn't know his father. His mother is no church mouse either. She's got to take some accountability for this monster that she raised, because, you're not tough enough. I got to beat you up. And she had a dark side as well as he. So he is his mother's child. And, as long as she was benefiting from it financially, Miss Jan just looked the other way, even when her own son cussed her out. So, he's no church mouse either. And, then I also say, when you come from a place of abuse, you usually have self-esteem issues. You are usually a narcissist. You usually want to control people. And these are all the things that we see in him. He was taught that violence will get you respect and control. I don't agree with that, but that was, what he was taught. Look at what he did to Shine. Look what happened with the limo driver the night that he shot that lady. And, shout out to Natanya Griffin. He shot her in the face and she still suffers to this day. And she was saying how she had to leave and be moved. They were sitting outside her house, in these cars, and it wasn't the cops. It was him and his goons. And he just ruined so many lives,
Well, can I say this and I'd love your thoughts on what I'm about to say. When you watch 45/47 get away with what he's gotten away with over the last 8 years or so, and I want to make sure I use the right wording here, because a lot of people dance on the downfall. Does that make sense? You've got people who celebrate the downfall. Now, without a doubt, this is damning. This is damning. This is probably, when you look at the people coming forward, the incidents, firsthand accounts, his assistant toward the end, who was, had some pretty shocking allegations. But you look at it as a tragedy, whereas there are people who celebrate it. It's hard for me to celebrate somebody's downfall when you see 45/47 pardon 1,500 people without even looking at the case by case and admitting the fact that, we didn't do it case by case. We just did a blanket. We don't Yeah. And the reason I'd love your thoughts if that makes sense. If that makes sense to you.
I get it. Again, and he was also celebrated for his contributions, like I said, to culture, entertainment, and music. I get that part. But
and let me be clear, Tanya B. I'm not excusing accountability at all. But it's a tragedy when you watch what's going down. But also, in terms of you look at what happened to R. Kelly, you look at the string of things that are happening, and then all of a sudden 45, 47 gets away with everything. And he stacks the court. He does all these things behind the scene. Go ahead.
That was the thing. Puffy got away with, and it came out in the documentary, all these court cases and all this violence going back almost 30 years before we got to where we are today. And he, like 45, 47, has a pattern. So when you have someone like Puffy, who's chummy with, 45, 47, he has a strategic way of trying to distract you from all the mess he's done by trying to do something good. Like
it's the misdirection.
Yeah. I mean, so the school in Harlem, which is now closed because they weren't paying the people, and the place was a hot mess full of bed bugs and mice, and the people weren't even eating or getting paid. So when he looks at people like 45, 47, and you look at people like John Gotti and other people who get away with all of this fuckery,
if not for the accountant, Capone would have gotten away with it.
Yeah, exactly. So the thing is, he watches them get away with that. And I do believe he studied it, and that's why he got away with it for as long as he did. But now the jig is up. Just like I said about Snoop and Nelly and all those Rick Ross that went down at the inauguration. You do not have a seat at their table. You can think you can do what they can do, but Puffy ain't sitting at the table with, I know John Gotti's dead to the bed, but people like that, Puffy's not part of the five families.
Yeah. I'm going to mention, go ahead, Vi, you had a comment.
Yeah, all the stuff I see, I don't celebrate Puffy going down, and I feel for the people who actually went through some stuff. But my problem is the people who think they doing something by talking about it, and they were actually there. I'm like,
talking too late.
I'm like, dude, you accomplice.
You
didn't say anything. You saw it happen. You took the money. You think I'm gonna give you some kudos now because you coming out? You only coming out now because you're in jail. So you lucky we're not trying to put you in jail since you were there. You there saw it happen.
Yeah.
No, don't celebrate the folks who's actually didn't happen to.
I said
if you said they saw it, clean up, you're an accomplice. So
I felt for the city college, the guy who lost his sister.
Yeah.
At the city college, because he tried from the beginning.
Right. So he's not accomplice. He's trying to say something, but nobody listen to him. I'm talking about the one like the bodyguards, his friends, who all of a sudden coming out. I saw it. Oh, so you saw it.
And you know what's interesting? What's interesting about the bodyguard in the club shooting? That's Wolf. He ended up getting shot down here in Atlanta.
Wow.
He got killed down here in Atlanta.
Interesting.
I don't wish any bad on anybody, but I'm just saying, I'm not going to celebrate you, and I don't want anybody to celebrate you. If you sat there and saw it happen, you just not saying something about it.
Yeah, and the thing is,
we're not going to pat you on your back and say, good. No.
That's like giving somebody credit for the job that they're supposed to do, and they all would. In R. Kelly, and in this situation, they all fell short. And it was, you took the money. Then it was like, I was afraid for my life.
Yeah.
But you weren't afraid for the money. And
what you got next? I just wanted honestly. I'm glad. I wanted to hear your feedback on.
And I'm tired of hearing about Puffy too. So I put the two. They going in the corner with R. Kelly and Neo and all the rest of those fools and Ray J. Okay.
Well, it's going to be interesting because right now, he doesn't have, there is no Johnny Cochran. So it's going to be real interesting. I think Garagos is involved.
He's got to pay the lawyers, but see, here's the thing: when the money runs out, the lawyers aren't going to come. For them, it's a PR move. They don't need it. They want some visibility. I think he's on his fifth lawyer.
I said it once before. Once the feds get involved, you're going down, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because the feds have video, so it's going to be interesting because from what I'm hearing, the trial starts in May.
Yeah, it just matter how much time you're going to get.
You know, it's like, you notice that they delayed this trial twice, and it's like you just go over there and sit in Rikers Island and let those boys make your bed, you know, until you run out of money for cigarettes and commissary privileges. But anyway,
what else you got, Tanya B?
I know enough about him. Rihanna
beat that dead horse.
Right. Hey, Rihanna took fashion. She took Fenty to the courtroom this week as she stood by her man, A$AP Rocky, and her father's children, who's going, she's going to court to support her baby daddy. And this trial is on and it's happening. I watched some of the testimony. The alleged victim, A$AP Yelly, who, they have this A$AP group. It's something like Excellence and whatever they call it. Anyway, he testified against A$AP Rocky. And, Yelly is the one that got shot by Rocky. I watched that video too. And now A$AP Yelly is suing A$AP Rocky's attorney for defamation. But, and they're asking him these questions. He's forgetting a lot of things. I don't recall. I can't recall. Then they pulled up the text messages that he tried to delete, and they showed them in court. Just because you delete a text message from your phone, it does not go away.
Oh my God.
It does not go away.
So I'm just saying, ultimately it's interesting because what YNF Lucci, I think that's his name.
He's dead now.
Well, they released him this week. We're in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what I had not seen was the drive-by in his vehicle. They had a tape of that on a Ring camera. So, it's amazing to me when you commit these crimes and you think that there's no evidence of it, and there's tons of evidence now. Okay. And see, the other concern, well, not a concern, but it's just an observation in watching this. Maybe he should have taken the plea deal on this.
Why did he
versus I'm talking 6 months versus
14 years. 24 years. 14 to 24.
They offered him 6 months?
Yes.
Did he turn 6 months there?
They offered I think it's a plea deal where they said, hey, if you just accept the plea, go to jail for 6 months, you're out. And I think there's, probation. And I just from what I'm hearing, Tanya B, the whole stand that he has is the gun was a prop gun.
And Yelly said that, but he also said that, A$AP Rocky is not the person that people think he's a liar, he's a bully, he's this, he's that. Oh, well, we for the most part, he would, have these play guns, but every now and then he might have a real one. But the thing is, to me, this is getting very 7th grade. You want to play grown folks games, but you don't want to face the consequences.
The consequences are really too great for grown folks games.
His ego and being a narcissist, they said this is kind of what his mindset has been. That's why they were friends, but they weren't really friends like that anymore. Yeah. That will be his downfall, and his kids won't recognize him when he gets out of jail in 2039 or whatever that is. Maybe.
Wow. This is interesting. I mean, because right now the stakes are high.
You got two kids.
Go ahead, Vi. Go ahead. Vi,
you got kids. Take the 6 months so you can raise your kids.
Yeah.
It's not Rihanna needs your money. She got money, so take your 6 months and raise these kids.
But they all have kids. Vi. They all have kids. Even Lucci, when he did, he took a picture with his daughter. I think upon release. So they all have kids when you do this stuff. But I'll leave it at that. I'm not judging the brothers, but I'm just saying the stakes are high. But
did they offer Lucci a deal?
Yeah, I think they did. I think he took it. I mean, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, he did right there. A$AP should have took the deal. 6 months to 24 years.
6 months.
It went home.
It was something ridiculously low compared to 24 years.
I would have said, where do I sign? Please. Because if I can get this time on over with. I got a beautiful woman who supports me.
Yes.
You got plenty of money. Let me sign this.
And here we go, the cycle. You got 2 black sons. What are you showing them?
Oh man!
So especially if you know. What else you got?
Especially if you
what
know
else you got, Tanya B?
If you know you did it. If you know you did it, dude, go ahead.
You saw the video.
You gotta fight.
Anyway.
For the right. Go ahead. I ain't laughing. I'm not laughing at him. Okay. I'm just laughing for this.
Okay, well, while we're not laughing, let's just touch on Snoop for a second. He still says, he's 100% black, even though he's lost millions of followers and he got paid millions. Was it worth it? I come to find out Nelly got paid $1.5 million before taxes. And clearly he needed the money. And, pun intended, Snoop is in the doghouse, but, stop, calling out people. And like we said, take accountability and justify what you said. Thank you, D.L. Hughley. And I think that's the thing that people, are looking at him was just the hypocrisy of it all.
Yeah, I don't think, and you know what, even when we went on and I played the clip from the show last week on TikTok, and brothers, if you're going to go after people in the comments, make a civilized statement. If you're going to say something, if I have, and this even, because I do sports too. I mean, I play around, and it's just like, if you're going to go after a comment, and it's just, I guess it's the nature of social media where people just want to say, oh, that's stupid as fuck. Or, it's just some, you know what I mean? They never, okay, that's your argument. I hate to see you go to court and have to defend yourself, because I'm like, you'll never be able to defend yourself.
I don't even think they
defend your argument.
They do it for the
defend the argument. Go ahead.
They do it for the licks, the clicks,
the clicks. It's like defend the
Mm-hmm.
argument. If you got a problem with it, because just come back and say, hey, the man's earning his living. He's got to do what his needs to do what he needs to do to protect his income. If that's the case. But my whole point is what DL got into is what we were saying, and Vi, you made the best comment, basically saying, look, why we should really just ask, why did you say what you said in 2017 versus the actions you took in 2025? Candidly, I'm just going to be just straight up with you. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, I'm not about going down the road of cancel culture. If people decide that they don't want to, you make a decision on your own. It's your individual choice to say to someone who doesn't align, with you and your values. If somebody does not align with my values, then okay, so be it. We're done. That's it. That's just, you make a decision to do that. People make a decision with what we say. That's just the nature of what you do when you make comments and you go public. One last quick thing. I'm gonna let Tanya B wrap up on this, and then I'll come back to you, Vi. Go ahead.
20 seconds, Vi. Go ahead, hit it. What you
have?
Go
ahead, Vi.
All I'm saying, like I said before, just own up to it.
Yeah.
Don't talk about why people can't. Just say I did it for this reason, and that's it.
Yeah, because I don't think it's tearing people down, because we've been very complimentary of Snoop on this show. A few shows ago, we were talking about Flavor Flav and, what Flav has done as, a personality who's gone through it over the years, but what he's doing now, like on Blue Sky and some of the other things that he's involved with the Olympics. And we compared him to Snoop. We said, hey, he's really doing a great job. He really has kept his legacy intact. So, I'm not here to dog the man, put him down. And I'm not just saying that, because somebody commented. I don't care. But I'm saying it because meaningful, we do believe that the man has done a great job. It's just questioning why then and why now. That's all. And maybe he'll comment. Maybe he'll say something about that. Last thing. Go ahead. Wrap up, Tanya B.
Real quick. Grammys are tomorrow. I don't care. All I want to see is the clip of the tribute to Quincy Jones. And speaking of Grammy winners, this is something that is not public knowledge yet, so I can spill it here, but it's okay. Grammy award-winning singer, songwriter, producer Nile Rodgers is headed to Broadway, and there's going to be a Broadway musical based on the 1980s movie The Blues Brothers. Remember that? The Blues Brothers. And he's doing the music, so that should be interesting. I might have to go see that. See how he can take that music from the 80s and, twist it and make it relative today to Broadway.
Good point. Good stuff, Niles. Go ahead, country commentator.
I just got one question. Am I late on this new Bruno Mars song? Am I late?
Oh, yeah, you're late.
So y'all have already talked about it.
You mean the one that he did with Gaga, the ballad or the slow song?
No, the one with Sexy Red.
The Sexy Red. The Sexy Red thing recently. If it's out now, I haven't even heard that yet. But I'm familiar. I'm familiar with the one that's been a huge, massive pop hit. Okay, the Sexy Red thing is recent.
I'm going to say this: You have this song. The track is banging. It's like, yes. The lyrics, not so much. But what do you expect from a young lady who has a line of lip glosses that are named after STDs? Bruno knew what he was doing. I think I think it's clickbait. Because you know what?
Well, it might be because it's working. It's working.
People up state radio, commercial radio is playing the song.
Well, you know, Bruno knows what he knows what to do to captivate everybody. He does one song. Let me say it. He did one song with Gaga, which he knew got him the Hot 100. Okay. He's doing this other song with Sexy Red, which he knows is going to get him the street cred and the street culture. So he knows what he's doing.
But
simple as that.
And he's going back to Vegas, and just for you, Bruno Mars is getting $1.5 million per show. Do the math.
Pay off that loan. Pay off that gambling debt, dog.
I don't have no money problem. He said he don't have. He hasn't. What he has said, he doesn't have gambling debts, which could mean that he did pay him.
Yeah, that song made WAP seem like nothing.
Well, you know, but Vi, he knows what he's doing.
That's what I said. I just wonder what late because I haven't heard any of us talking about it.
This is what we are reduced to now when it comes to music. That's why that's why you should listen to the Birdwire. Shameless plug.
There you go. All right, y'all.
I just said, wow. Ooh, okay.
Yes, here we go. We got a couple of minutes. Let's go ahead and do this.
It's time to wrap it up. This is the G Podcast.
You got any shout outs, Vi? Real quick. Go ahead, man. Shout outs.
We are in my hometown, Forsyth, Georgia. Today, this young John Clark, he done a documentary on Dan Pitts. It is showing in my hometown.
Excellent.
Check it out.
Stuff.
Check it out. It's a documentary come out on Dan Pitts. The legendary coach.
And who is Dan Pitts? Go ahead.
The legendary coach for our high school. At one time, he was the winningest coach in the state of Georgia.
Excellent. Can't wait for it. Make sure you give us details. Send it to me. I'll make sure I post it. Tanya B, what you got?
I just want to say shout out to everyone who supports this podcast. Again, welcome back to KW. He was one of our day ones. Everybody in the DMV, my people in Boston. Of course, another shameless plug. Please check out the Birdwire soon on demand on Castropolis.net.
Actually, go to the QR and the link, code. And the episodes will be there for you.
Okay. And just, support independent music because, I say this is some of the best music that you've never heard until now. And with all the crap that's on commercial radio, I like to give people a soft place to fall. Listen to good, clean music. And there's a lot of it out there. So, Tommy B, thank you for being one of the main reasons why the Birdwire even exists to this day.
Oh, wow. Okay. I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, we appreciate your feedback, y'all. All you got to do again, if you're watching the video, go there, just put your camera on the QR code and the links will be there. And basically, we still have our 25 for 25. You can give a one-time $25, whatever you want to call it, donation to the podcast. Support us. We are independent, as Tanya B says. Yeah. So you can go there and you can support the podcast. All the links are on the QR. And we got 10, 20 seconds. Go.
Just to break it down, people, that 25 for 25 equates to 50 cents a week. Make it make sense. Do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Do it.
But you know how that goes. All right. Hey, y'all, with that, man, episode 254 is in the can. Vi, thank you so much, man, for taking the time. Definitely got to get more information on your coach. Tanya B, appreciate you as always. And shout out to our folks in Philly. Our heart, prayers, all that goes out to the victims. And with that, y'all, we are out of here. Peace and power to the people. Have a good week, y'all. Have a good week.
Fight the power.
You've been listening to This is the G Podcast. And This is the G Podcast is a production of the Castropolis Podcast Network. Thanks for listening.